For many cells, the nucleus is one of the most important parts. The nucleus is the control center for many cells. It contains DNA and is coded with instructions on how to create proteins. Prokaryotic cells do not have a nucleus. Another important part of all cells is the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a fluid material that is found outside of the nucleus. It is found in all cells, even those without a nucleus.
Cell storage, cleanup, and support. Vacuoles and vesicles. A vacuole's function is to store materials like waters, salts, proteins, and carbohydrates. Vacuoles can be anywhere in a cell except for inside the nucleus or the cell membrane. Vesicles store and move materials between cell organelles. Vesicles are smaller membrane-enclosed structures in eukaryotic cells. Here is an example of a vacuole, and here is an example of a vesicle. Lysosomes. Lysosomes are small organelles filled with enzymes. They break down lipids, carbohydrates, and proteins into small molecules that can be used by the rest of the cell and help break down organelles that have outlived their usefulness. Lysosomes are mostly found in animal cells. Here is a picture of lysosome. Cytoskeleton. The cytoskeleton gives a eukaryotic cell its shape and internal organization. Certain parts of the cytoskeleton help transport substances between different parts of the cell. The cytoskeleton is everywhere in a cell. A cytoskeleton is made up of microfilaments and microtubules. Microfilaments are thread-like structures made up of a protein called actin. Microtubules are hollow structures made up of proteins known as tubulin.
Organelles that build proteins. Ribosomes. Ribosomes are small particles of RNA and protein found throughout the cytoplasm in all cells. Ribosome also produces proteins. They produce proteins using the instructions found in the nucleus. Endoplasmic reticulum. This is where lipid components, proteins, and other materials are assembled. It is known as the intracellular highway. There's two types: smooth ER and rough ER. We will discuss those in the next slide. Smooth ER contains no ribosomes. It contains enzymes that perform tasks. Liver cells usually have a large amount of smooth ERs. Rough ER contains many ribosomes. The rough ERs are involved in protein synthesis. They are found in cells that produce protein for export. The Golgi apparatus is an organelle that modifies, sorts, and packages proteins. The proteins produced in the rough ER then move into this organelle. As shown in this picture, the protein produced here in the rough ER transports all the way to the Golgi apparatus.
Chloroplasts and mitochondria both capture and release energy and have their own DNA that supports the endosymbiosis theory. Chloroplasts are biological equivalents of solar body parts, and they contain green pigment. Plants and some other organisms contain chloroplasts. The function of a chloroplast is to capture energy from sunlight and convert it into food that contains chemical energy in a process called photosynthesis. In these two graphics, the chloroplasts are located here and here. The mitochondria, also known as the powerhouse of the cell, power plants of the cell and are the cell's energy center. All eukaryote cells, including plants, contain the mitochondria. The function of a mitochondria is to convert the chemical energy stored into compounds that are more convenient for the cell to use. It turns food into chemical energy called ATP. A fun fact about mitochondria is that in humans, almost all of our mitochondria come from the egg cell, meaning you got your mitochondria from your mom.
As you know, there are 5 organelles with a specific function and structure for a cell. Today we're going to talk about cellular boundaries. Now, there are 2 types of cellular boundaries. These include a cell wall and a cell membrane. We are going to talk about a cell wall first. Now, a cell wall is the strong supporting layer around the membrane. Its main function is to support the shape of a cell and to protect it. Here is an example of how a cell wall looks like. As you can see on the right hand side of this slide, there are 3 pictures. Now we are going to talk about a cell membrane. Now, a cell membrane is a thin, flexible barrier that surrounds all cells. A lipid bilayer makes the cell membrane. The main function of a cell membrane is to regulate what enters and leaves the cell. It also protects and supports the cell as well. It is located right under the cell wall. Now I will put a picture up of a cell membrane so you can see how it looks like. As you can see, on the bottom, on the right side, you can see very closely in a very detailed way what a cell membrane looks like. And it has all the parts and it tells you what each part does.